Our question that we chose was what features have been added to the modern day car compared to the first Ford Model T car? And so we will be showing the evolution of car safety features over the years and how they have helped.
In 1908, the Ford Model T was presented to the world with a top speed of 35 to 40 miles per hour, weighing 1,200 pounds. The engine was located under the front seats, and the gas was fed to the engine by gravity. Because of this, the Ford Model T was unable to climb steep hills on a low fuel tank, so you might as well have gone up this hill in reverse. This car also did not have any modern service brake. The rear wheel stopped turning by the right foot pedal, applying a band in the drum around the transmission.
Later in 1949, the Saab 92 was introduced. Engineered with reinforced structural members for added safety, this car was definitely safer than the Model T. It was also the first car produced with a safety cage, which meant more protection for passengers during car accidents. The Saab 92 also had front-wheel drive, providing good traction.
Also in 1949, the first four-wheel brake system was introduced. This allowed a better stopping performance for cars. How it works is the disc combined with the brake pads to generate a brake force to reduce the braking distance. During braking, the vehicle's kinetic energy converts to thermal energy due to friction between the brake pads and disc, enabling a quicker deceleration.
The first crumple zone concept was in 1952. As you can see in the lower picture, the crumple zones are in the front and back of the car so that when the car gets in a collision, the crumple zones absorb the energy and keep that energy in the crumple zones to keep passengers safe. This also allows for an increased time interval during collision, enabling less force to impact the passengers.
In 1559, Volvo introduced three-point seatbelts as standard. Two-point seatbelts were not enough for safety purposes in the car since they damaged the soft organs during collision. During collision, occupants are hurled forward and the three-point seatbelt reacts by forcing an opposite force to keep occupants from injuring themselves further, showing an example of Newton's third law.
The realization that rear seatbelts were necessary was in 1967. Since occupants in the rear seats were being hurled at a force of 29,430 to 49,050 newtons, seatbelts were necessary in order to exert an opposite force to keep the passengers safe.
Head restraints became mandatory in 1969. Head restraints prevented major whiplash injuries. Whiplash injuries occurred mostly in inelastic collisions like a rear-end collision. During rear-ended collisions, the back of the seat moves forward into the occupant's torso, and his or her head tends to lag behind without a head restraint causing whiplash.
In 1973, airbags were introduced commercially. Patents for airbag predecessors were early as the 1950s, but research in the 60s proved compressed air was not capable of effectively inflating airbags fast enough. The 1973 Oldsmobile Toronado was the first car with passenger airbags sold to the public. The airbags were needed to deploy within a 30 millisecond window so it could be fast enough for the airbag to exert an opposite force on the occupant during a collision.
In 1978, the anti-lock braking system was introduced. This was a press note by Daimler and Bosch that showcased the system. The anti-lock braking system uses a computer to monitor the change in rotational speed of each wheel during braking. If the speed slows too quickly, such as when braking on a slippery surface, and the wheel risk locking, the computer automatically reduces the brake pressure. The wheel accelerates again, and the brake pressure is increased again, thereby braking the wheel. This process is repeated several times in a matter of seconds.
All new cars were required to come with passive restraints in 1990. These restraints are airbags and seatbelts in deformation zones. The passive restraints in a car are any device that acts automatically to help slow your momentum after impact in a car crash. These devices have been required in cars since 1990 to improve safety for drivers.
In 1991, the Side Impact Protection System was introduced. Volvo had introduced the Side Impact Protection System, which was also known as SIPS. They were added in several models of cars to add safety. SIPS had added a crumple zone between the passenger side and the driver's side of the car. The crumple zone on the side of the car would absorb energy from the collision, keeping the passenger safe.
In 1994, side impact airbags were added. Adding on to SIPs, Volvo had added airbags on the sides of the driver and passenger seat to improve the safety system. The side airbags were used with the same reason of the SIPs to reduce the damage and collision if there was a crash on the side of the car. The emergency brake assist was introduced in 2009. It was created to automatically brake the car on its own if the driver failed to stop the car on their own. In 2009, the car had to be going under speeds of 18 miles per hour for the automatic stop to function on its own. Although in today's world, the speed has, for the automatic brake increased. Even if cars are exceeding the speed of the automatic brakes to stop the car fully, they will still slow the car significantly to prevent major damage and injuries. It was created to stop cars faster since cars weigh more, so it takes more time to stop.
In 2013, the pre-collision system was first introduced by Toyota and is used in their newer vehicles. This system works like the automatic brake system as it scans for objects in front of the car that may be in your path, such as other vehicles or pedestrians. The system is said to apply the brakes or steer out of the way automatically if a hazard is in the path of your car.
In 2020, a report on Tesla's autopilot and active safety features showed that there was one accident for every 3.45 million miles driven in which drivers had autopilot engaged. With no autopilot but with active safety features, we registered one accident for every 2.05 million miles driven.
The image above shows a force diagram of normal forces acting upon a moving car. The mass of the car plays an important role because the more mass the car has, the more energy is needed to get the vehicle going, as well as it increases the vehicle's rolling resistance. Traction is important in a car because without any tire traction, the car would not be able to grip on surfaces like ice, snow, loose gravel, and makes the car unable to accelerate. The supporting force acting on normal cars are gravity, but in some cases, gravitational inertia will matter with heavy trucks with big tires such as monster trucks.